Howdy, my name's Blaine Eddy. In this particular video we're going to talk about a method which I come up with several years ago on how to manufacture Wildcat cases without the use of expensive form dies. Okay, it involves the use of this plate. This plate idea I came up with years ago to reduce neck diameters. I was trying to hunt down my 22-284 form dies one day. I couldn't find them. This has been 6-8 years ago, and got to thinking real hard and come up with this plate idea. Anyway, I don't know if Dan can get all this on here, but this plate will reduce neck diameters. It's just a series of holes. They're specific in diameter, and we're going to give you what the diameters, what these holes are in this video, so you can make your own plate. We're also going to be mass producing this plate for sale, but that's not what this video is about. We want you guys to be able to take the information that I'm going to provide you here on this video and get started making your Wildcat cases, any cases that you want. This particular plate from 33 caliber all the way down to 14 caliber without the use of a single form die. Now the plate will not set shoulders back, but it will reduce neck diameters very easily without any problem whatsoever, without any shoulders caving in. Just really a neat way to do this stuff. Very inexpensive, simple way, simple application to reduce neck diameters. This particular plate here, I have designated the bore or the diameters here on the plate where I know I'm at. For example, this hole here is 24 caliber, which would be specific to my 6.284. Once the case, the 284 case, which the 6.284 is what I'm talking about. Once it's brought down to this hole right here, it can then be taken straight to my full length size die. Okay, if I want to go from 6.284 down to 22.284, I just the 224 diameter hole is designated here. I go from that all the way down to that, and then I run to my full length size die. I've also got 20 caliber designated here, and then I've got 17 caliber designated here, and then this one isn't punched at 14 because I know it's my last hole and it's 14 caliber. First off, I'd like to show you folks a few of my Predator rifles. In the first video, Hunting and Skinning for Profit, we went through in quite depth the proper fur handling methods. But I neglected to go into much length about the cartridges and things like that. We've had a lot of requests from people to talk a little, for me to talk a little bit, provide more information about the pelt cartridges that I use, both at calling distances and at extreme long range distance. So let's set the plate down here, and I'll have my daughter Erin and her little friend Sarah hand me these rifles. Okay, Sarah, could you bring over that 22-284? Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, folks, this is one of my over-the-hood, long-range coyote rigs. It's a shiny bugger. I don't take it out on stands. This is the flattest shooting rifle I have ever owned. It's chambered in a 22-284. It's got a tight neck chamber in it, match grade barrel, Hart 30-inch light varmint straight taper 14 twist barrel. It's based on an XP 100 single shot action, and I've installed a Remington 700 bolt handle on it. I've got Leopold 12 power target optics on it. It maintains a dual HVR trigger. Breaks at about 3-4 ounces. This is a very accurate rifle. It's extremely flat shooting rifle. I don't believe I've ever owned a rifle that shoots as flat as this rifle does, say out to 400 or 500 yards. It's just amazingly flat. The stock is an HS Precision silhouette stock, thumb hole silhouette. Like I say, I use it at distances anywhere from 300 yards on out to 600-700 yards. I prefer the 65 grain burger flat base. It's very accurate. It'll shoot in the mid-low twos all day long. at 4,200 feet per second with that particular bullet. So this is a kind of an experimental type cartridge. Very hard on the throats because of the overbore nature of the cartridge, but it has its use. All these Wildcats have their use. They are intended for a specific purpose. Some are less overbore than others. Usually when one, maintains that something is less overbore, the performance is relatively less as well. But anyway, this is a very fine rifle. I've owned this rifle now for about 15 years. Really fond of it. Really a nice rifle to shoot. Okay, Aaron, can you bring me that 6.284 over here? These Wildcats here that I'm showing you, all these cases are manufactured with this plate. Every single one of these cartridges here that I made with this plate. Not a single form die, not one form die was purchased in the manufacture of these cases. I want to make that very clear. That and the cost of this plate versus some of these dies, and I'm going to show you a couple of these form die sets that I have had in the past that were just very costly. Anyway, this particular rifle here is a 40X 6.284. It has a 30-inch heart, 14 twist, 6mm. It's a fluted barrel, match grade stainless. It's in a factory Remington 40X stock. It has a 6.5 to 20 Leopold target optics on it, and I think this is the only rifle I own that doesn't have a jewel on it. But this trigger was reworked by Neil Jones at Custom Products. I believe he's out of Pennsylvania. I think he's still alive and kicking. Did a hell of a job on this trigger. It's just under a pound. This rifle is extremely accurate, folks. I shoot 68 grain burgers out of this thing at about 4250. Its application with respect to coyote hunting, it's an over-the-hood gun. The gun weighs 37 pounds. I know you can't tell in the video, but I mean this is a heavy rig. It weighs 37 pounds. It's pillar bedded from the. It has pillars and it's bedded with Marine Tex bedding compound from about the end of the optics here, about the end of the objective here, all the way to the back of the tang, and it has two massive pillars in it. This is a very accurate rifle. It's specific in nature. I will not shoot coyotes with this rifle under 300, 350 yards because it's just too much for the pelt. And I'm primarily a pelt hunter, although I just love these 284 based cartridges. Sarah, could you hand me that next one over there, honey? It's yeah, the 22 BR. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, Sarah, can you hand me the next rifle? Okay, this is a 22 BR based on a Remington XP 100 action, single shot action. Has a Remington 700 bolt handle installed on it here. I did away with the little curved XP 100 bolt handle. I just don't prefer them on a rifle. This is an Anschutz silhouette, Macmillan Anschutz silhouette stock. Has a real high comb on it, a real quick drop here at the grip. It fits me really well, really well. I believe I use this rig as a switch barrel application quite a bit. I believe this barrel is a Broughton 4 groove. It's about 24 inches long. Has a 14 twist in it. This is a very accurate rig as well. The optics are Swarovski 8x50 PH series. This is one of the brightest scopes I've ever seen in my life. This rifle is primarily used at night for night hunting coyotes. Very, very effective. Very accurate. Very accurate. The trigger on this thing is a jewel. HVR. It's set at 3 ounces. This rifle consistently shoots in the low 2s all day long. Just a very, very fine cartridge. It's not particularly my favorite cartridge for harvesting coyotes, harvesting fur. I shoot 52 grain burgers out of it, 40 grain VMAXs, that sort of thing. But it's just a little bit too much for the fur, a little bit too much damage on the fur. I limit its use to night hunting simply because it has a little more energy on impact than the 17 caliber cartridge, which I really favor for all sorts of predator hunting. But okay, let's take a look at the 17s now. Okay, this rifle right here is my little Ram Pro 1-inch 150. It is chambered in 17 DT, which is a 100,000 short 17 PPC. I designed the cartridge about 3-4 years ago for use on stands for called coyotes. The short PPC shoots 26-27 grain Gencos at about 4,200 feet a second. I shoot the 30 grain golds out of this particular rifle at just over 4,000 feet a second. This is my main calling rig right here. This rifle is what I kill most all my coyotes with. Last season, I harvested 104 coyotes along with this rifle right here. It has a Schillen number 5.5 contour, 10 twist barrel on it, match grade, 3 to 9 size conquest. It's the little Ram Pro 1-inch 150 single shot action. Very nice little setup right here. The stock is Wenig Varmiter, which I scaled down. I put a lot of work into this gun so that it fits me really well. It has a jewel trigger. It's set 3 to 4 ounces. This rifle, when it's shouldered on a stand, it's right there. It just feels really natural. It's almost, I built this gun to feel like almost as if it's an extension of my body when I'm on a stand. Very comfortable rifle. Even with my heavy winter clothing on, I've cut the length of pull from the trigger to the back of the stock here is shortened up so that when I'm on stands and I have to contort my body somewhat for a coyote that might be coming in from an angle I didn't expect. I could still do it, and I could still make a pinpoint shot placement because it still fits me very well. It's a comfortable stock. I've allowed for heavy clothing on my body by shortening up the length of pole here. The optics are crystal clear. This is an excellent little scope. For the money, I don't think you can beat the little Zeiss. But this is my main coyote rig, 17 DT. I really love this little rifle. I'm just really fond of it. Okay, let's see. What's the next one over there? I think, my 14 caliber. This is the smallest bore diameter rifle that I own and hunt with coyotes. Okay, this is a Lawrence barrel 14-221 Walker. I shoot 13, 15 grain Eichelberger jacketed hollow points out of this thing. The 13 grain projectiles are running out of here about 4,400 feet a second. It's a fairly accurate little rig too. Jeff Lawrence makes excellent barrels. They're match grade cut rifle barrels. This is about a number 5 contour, heavy sporter weight barrel. The action is a 700 action. It has a jewel trigger and it's set again. It's an HPR. It's set 3 to 4 ounces. The optics are Cullis 8x50. This is a 1-inch tube Cullis, and I've installed Leopold target knobs onto this Cullis right here. This is a Macmillan copy BDL sporter stock. This is a battery I have attached onto the bottom of this rifle here. And this little mount right here is an upside down Weaver ring that I attach scope lights onto here. A lot of the Light Force brand scope lights and some scope lights that I've manufactured myself that attach here, they plug in here. It has the same thing that my DT has. It has a squeaker right here to coax the coyotes in as close as I can get them. I'm not out to prove how far away I can kill coyotes. It's a commercial application for me. I want them in close and I want them dead right in their tracks without any pelt damage, without any exits whatsoever. For anybody that's watching this video that watched the hunting and skinning for profit video, you know how serious I am about this fur hunting. These weapons are built specifically for fur hunting. They are serious tools for that application. Okay, I think there's one last rig over there. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, this is my boy Ian's gun. This is a little Thompson Contender. It's got a 18-inch barrel, Dennis Bell, Mike Bell. It's chambered in 5.6 by 50R Belm mag. Okay, very compact little rig here. I don't know how short that is, but I'll tell you what, that thing is a short little rifle. It's very easy to use on a stand. My son Ian killed a 52-pound coyote with this rig, although it had a 17 Remington barrel chambering on it. This rifle has killed an awful lot of coyotes over my lifetime. I've worked the trigger over on it a little bit. It has a very short length of pole here from the trigger here. For youth hunters, my daughter Arian, this will be the rifle that she'll kill her, most likely kill her first coyote with this coming up season. Optics, this is a Burris HBR 6 power. The Hunter bench rest class scope is what this is. It has the target knobs on it. Very reliable scope. Doesn't move around on you. It's not the brightest scope on the planet. It's not nearly as bright as the little Zeiss, but it doesn't move around. We don't get a change of impact shift with it, and that's probably the most important thing with regard to these calling rigs, is that they will maintain their point of impact through all kinds of temperature extremes, temperature changes. I hunt in temperatures well below zero. In the heart of the winter, it could get down to 20, 25 below zero. And these optics, I can't stress that enough about these optics. They have got to be solid, good, high quality optics. Okay, I think that's probably enough talk about the guns. The plate is really what we really want to talk about and get in depth here is with the plate. I'm just going to take this thing and I'm going to take a case here, basically, and just kind of show you guys so you can see with your own eyes just how easy and how efficient this little plate is. Okay, one of the rifles over there is a 22-284. So let's take a standard, which is a 284 Winchester, neck down to 224 diameter. Okay, so let's grab one of these. Let's grab one of these Winchester 284. Okay, this is a 284 Winchester case right here. Okay, now one thing about the plate that really is unique is its ability to not collapse shoulders as the necks are reducing in size. Now, in order to do that, these cartridges have to go down through this plate. They have to be able to go down through this plate, and they will bottom out in this chamfer right here, or this shoulder angle. Now, this particular plate here has a 35-degree shoulder angle incorporated into these holes, into the top of each one of these holes. They are specific in diameter, the holes themselves. When the case goes down through the hole, it will bottom out in the shoulder on this plate. Now, the 284 Winchester has a 35-degree shoulder. This plate will not only do 35-degree shoulder, but it'll do 30-degree shoulder and anything less. Obviously, a 40-degree shoulder, you'd want to make your chamfer here, closer to 40 degrees, so that you can get a full neck reduction on the full length of the neck. But anyway, let's take this case, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. The way that we secure the case, the cartridge case, in order to get the neck reduction started here, is we had to figure out a way that I could secure this case and hold it in the drill press in order to make it go through these holes reliably and hold it in place. So anyway, we've taken a shell holder. Okay, this is a number 3 RCBS. It's specific to the 284 Winchester case. Okay, we've taken this shell holder, we've drilled and tapped it for this tool hard shaft right here. Okay, this thing is precisely made. This is something you don't want to try making at home. Now, the plate, I made this right here off this cheap drill press right here. I made the plate itself, even the chamfers, and it's a prototype plate, so it's not the best plate in the world. the most precise plate in the world, but it's plenty good for what we're going to do here for any of these cartridges. The ones that we're going to mass produce and sell are going to be hardened, they're going to be polished, the chamfers are going to be polished, and they'll be a much higher precision grade. But anyway, the shaft that threads up through the shell holder will bottom itself out. I don't know if Dan can get this or not, but the shaft that threads up through this shell holder, which is specific to the cartridge case, bottoms itself out. It's square and it bottoms itself out on the bottom of the cartridge. Okay, you're going to take your cartridge, slide it in here, all the way to the back of the shell holder, and then you're going to seat or load the shaft against the base of that cartridge. Okay, then, let me get a rag here. Get rid of that. It's not absolutely necessary, but what I like to do is take the cartridge. I like to have my setup like this, to where I've got my drill press here and a small vise right here, because what I want to do is I want to put a preload against the bottom of this cartridge to secure it, lock it in place inside this shell holder. Okay, so I just take my vise like that, and then the shaft itself has a quarter head socket that's been machined onto the end of this shaft here, so that I can load that shaft up against the bottom of that case and take it off back, quick and dirty. Okay, we're just going to give it just a little bit. It doesn't take much, just a little bit. Now that case is really secured in there. One other thing, there seems to be a sweet spot on every one of these cartridge cases, regardless of what brand it is. When you slide the case all the way into the shell holder and you chuck it up and you go to spin it, a lot of times it doesn't spin true. You can visibly see that it's not spinning dead true. So occasionally, and it may happen here, occasionally we end up rotating the case in the shell holder, re-chucking it up, and to get a more truer spin. The more concentric the case spins, the easier it will, easier and smoother and more precise it will reduce its neck diameters all the way down. Now I could take this 284 cartridge all the way down to 14 if I wanted to. As a matter of fact, let me just stop things for a second here to show you a couple of cartridges here that I made just for the heck of it. Now these are conversation pieces. This is a 300 Remington Ultra Mag, neck down to 17 caliber. Took me less than 60 seconds to make this cartridge right here. There's not a single form die was used in the manufacture of this case. Now, I'm not saying you ought to chamber this thing up. I mean, look at this thing. It's incredible. It's a conversation piece. I'm just simply showing you what the plate can do. This cartridge was made on this plate the other night. I used to make a whole bunch of cartridges in here, and I used to have a whole mess of them in here, but over time my friends come in here and they take them. They just ask me if I can have them and I give them to them. Anyway, this is a 14 284, okay? This cartridge was made on the plate. It's the same case that this is right here. It's 284 Winchester, but instead of going down to 22 284 like we're going to show you here, I took it all the way down to 14 caliber. Just to see if I could do it, and it just slick. Okay, so let me put these aside here. Conversation pieces, guys, not viable cartridges that you'd want to chamber. Okay, let's see how true this thing's going to spin here. Okay, now you can see right here. I don't know if you can pick that up, but there's a tremendous wobble in this case right here. So we're going to take this thing back out. I'm glad that happened. Most of the time, it's pretty rare. We're going to take this case out, and I'm going to set it back in here and rotate it and start it over. Okay, it's still got just a little bit of wobble to it, so I'm going to just back off the shell holder, rotate the case again, and seat it again. Still got a little bit. Let's see if we can get this. Okay, now that case is spinning pretty darn true right there, folks. Pretty darn true. So it's secure, okay? Now, I use a lubricant, basically anything I got around here I'll use. This happens to be mineral oil. It's a clear, heavy oil. You don't have to use mineral oil. You can use WD-40, STP, whatever you want to use. I try to use an oil base like that instead of like the imperial size dye wax that you would use in a form dye. I think you need something heavier, more substantial. Because you're going to go through all these holes here, and you're going to want to lube it each time. Okay, so we're going to start. Just going to put a little bit of lube on that neck. Okay, now I know from doing holes in these cases in the past that I need to start on either number 3 or number 4 hole, and I need to end up, we're going to do the 22-284, so I need to end up down here on hole number 22, okay? Okay, the plate floats on the table, okay? You bring the cartridge cage right down onto the hole, and you will feel the plate float and center itself to the cartridge. You simply get a secure hold and just drop the case down, let it come back up. It's just that simple. There's no great amount of force involved here, okay? Lube your neck, go to the next hole. Okay, let it align itself. Get a little bit of a firm grip on your plate. Once it aligns itself, seat it down. Now the case is going to bottom into the shoulder. Once it bottoms, don't go beyond that. If you go beyond that, you're going to cause problems. You're going to cause a deformation in the shoulder. So you don't go beyond that. There's no need to go beyond that. Okay, next hole. Okay, case bottomed right out in the hole. Okay, now we've got one more hole here, and we're at 24. Okay, now we're at 24. In other words, 6-2-84. Now, if I wanted to stop here, if I wanted to make 6-2-84 cases, I'd just take this case right here, and I would run it through my 6-2-84 full-length size die, and I'd be done. That's all. Not a form die used here, just the plate. Okay, let's continue on to 24, or down to 22. We're at 24 now. Okay, square that thing up, run it down. Once you get to where as many as I've done, my goodness sakes, I can go through these so fast. Okay, now we're down to 24, 224 bore diameter. Okay, we're done. Okay, this 284 case is now down to 22. That's it, right there. But at this point, this cartridge can be taken and run through your full-length size die. Okay, that's what we're going to do next. Now, when the case is spinning, there's a resistance against it as it goes through these holes. So it seats itself, it loads itself against this shaft. We need to have a method of removing the shaft, the tension, to get the case out of it, get that tension out of there so we can get that case out of it. This is where the little vise comes in. I just simply put the vise right there, take my little ratchet, give it a quick little turn, and it's out. Okay, now we take the case. Let's see which die this is. This is 22-284. Now you guys saw I didn't use a one form die on that case, and we started at 284. Okay, this is a 22-284 Redding full-length size die. Okay. Do that in there. Take some of my case lube. Put it on my case. I'm going to size that cartridge. Now you have a 22-284 Wildcat cartridge without one form die used in making this case. At this point, this case can either go straight to your neck turner pilot reamer for the neck to be turned down, or you just simply, depending on the diameter of your neck chamber, you can just simply dump a charge in this, seat a bullet, and away you go. Okay, that's the 22-284. It's probably not necessary to show you the 6-2-84 because we went to that point and passed it. So, but here's one I wanted to show you that's a little more involved. This is a 6BR Lapua case. We're going to take this down to 17BR, full-length 17BR. Customer or individual asked me to make 100 of these for him, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to use this as an example. Okay, now what in the world did I do with my shell holder? Okay, now this particular shell holder is the same shell holder that we used in the 284. It's a number 3 RCBS. It has the same whatever the circumference is for the BR case as well as the 284. The one thing that you have to have is these shell holders, and these shafts have to be made specific to the cartridge. If you want to make your own plate and your own shell holders and shafts, that's great. That's what this video is all about. I want you folks to take all this information, and instead of spending all your money on expensive form dies, make you up a plate and make you up several different shell holders for the cartridges that you have intended to wildcat, and for whatever size you want. Now, I've got a couple different sizes here that I have for my own personal use. This is a Magnum shell holder. It's a Redding. It's a number 6. It's for like the Ultra Mag cases. I used this shell holder when I made this case right here. Okay, took the case, we slid it in here, we ran the shaft up against till it seats itself against the cartridge. That's how we secure these things in place. Now, like I mentioned, every case is going to have a sweet spot in where it sits in this shell holder. So when you chuck the case up, you may turn it on the first time and you may see that it's not quite spinning absolutely dead concentric. So you will rotate the case within the shell holder, preload the case again with the shaft, and then do it again. Once you get the case spinning, and it only takes a few seconds to do that, once you get it to that point, then you can go ahead and start your neck reduction process. Anyway, I have 3 different shell holders that I've had made up, threaded shell holders. This is for the Magnum. This is a PPC bolt face shell holder. This is, I can't even make the number out on here, but this is PPC bolt face right here. And or not PPC bolt face, but PPC cartridge or 220 Russian cartridge. Okay, they just need to be specific for the cartridge you're using. Any old shell holder won't work, obviously. Okay, so let's take this BR. We're going to take this full length 6 BR Norman. We're going to neck it down to 17 BR. Okay, all these cases in this box right here, guys. There's about 90 of them in here. I did last night. It took me less than an hour. Stuck a stogie in my mouth, lit it up, and started reducing neck diameters. Very, very easy to do this application. I mean, I just can't tell you how much satisfaction this plate has given me, and how much money I know how much money it saved me, and knowing all the different cartridges that I can make. Just really quite amazing. But anyway, let's go ahead and take that BR case, put it in there. Let's just chuck it up here first and see how close we are to being spinning true. Okay, now this case has got a little bit of wobble in it as well. Let's see. Okay, loosen up the shell holder, rotate the case within the shell holder, fire up again. Okay, it's getting closer. Okay, loosen the shell holder, rotate the case. Okay, look how almost this thing is almost spinning dead true right there. Looks like I might have went past the spot. Let's try it one last time here. Back the other way here to see what we can do here. Now that's getting better. It's not perfect, but try one more spot here. Okay, that's close enough, guys. Sometimes these cases will really spin like it's a top spinning. Sometimes they don't spin all that true, but it's really they don't have to be spinning absolutely dead true. Okay, you want to turn your drill off, give your chuck a little tight, start lining your holes in. Okay, remember to lube your neck. Now I can't remember which hole I start on these, but I think it's 22. Now we're going to go from 6 BR all the way down to 17, which is designated here, or stamped here on the plate. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, I think it's this hole right here is going to be our first hole. Okay, plate floats. You simply allow the plate to line up on the case, and bring the case to bear down through the hole. And if you really watch it, I don't know if the camera can pick this up. We've actually improved the concentricity of this case as it's spinning after going through that first hole. I don't know if you can see that, but I can see it right here. Okay, next hole. Okay. Next hole. We're just letting that shoulder drop right into that shoulder angle that's incorporated into this plate. When that case bottoms out, you're there. Okay, next hole. The case is spinning very true. It's going through here like a hot knife through butter. I can't tell you how easy this is. I'm trying to show you, but there's very little effort is being applied to this case here. But as long as the case is bottomed out, you're going to be okay. And you'll feel it when it bottoms. Okay. Dan's signaling something at me. He's wanting me to do something different, but I don't understand it. Do what?
Keep your hand out of the way.
Keep my damn hand out of the way. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. Keep my damn hand out of the way. Alright. Okay. What hole are we on here? I'll try to keep my hand out of the way. Okay. Okay. Line her up. Keep my hand out of the way now. Okay. Okay. This next hole is 17. I'm going to spin this plate around like this so I can get my damn hand out of the way. I'll run that down through that last hole. Okay? We went from 6BR down to 17. Now this case could have just as easily been a 33 caliber case. It doesn't make it a damn bit of difference because it would have ended up at the same diameter it is right here. Once that case is started and you get that thing spinning fairly true, and every case will spin true. Every case has a sweet spot. Okay? I don't know if Dan can get that on there, a close-up on that, but you can just see just how concentric and how precise that case is right there. It's every bit as precise as if you would have run it through an expensive form dice set. And if I was making these, sitting down here making these cases, and not blabbering into a camera like I am now, I could turn these cases out pretty dang quick. Okay, let's take this case out of here. Okay, 17BR. Now, if once you got this case to this point, obviously the neck has lengthened because you're swaging the necks out. So the brass has got to go somewhere, so the neck is going to lengthen. So at this point, depending on the chamber dimensions that you have in your rifle. Now this particular cartridge is going to go in a chamber that has a 200 thousandths neck chamber diameter. And this case at this point right here is more than likely over that. Okay, this case right here is actually it's 199. It's pretty close, 199.5 to 200,000. So it's very close to the chamber diameter right now. However, that's too close. Even in match grade chambers, you need at least 3 thousandths clearance or 1,000th and a half all the way around. So what would be involved at this point with this cartridge is it would have to be neck turned. The neck wall thickness would have to be reduced to a certain or a specific thickness to allow enough clearance for these chambers. Some of the Wildcat chamberings I have, well, none that I have are do not require neck turning. All that I have require neck turning. Let me show you this tool here. And we'll go. This is getting a little bit away from the plate, but this is a neck turner jig that I had made a long time ago, 10-12 years ago. It has a micrometer on it here. The jig, or the turner itself, is set up for interchangeable RCBS neck reamer pilots. This is a 17 caliber RCBS neck reamer pilot. Now, even though I haven't run this case through a full-length 17 BR die, this hole is so close, is so specific and so close, it will match this diameter of this reamer. Okay? Now I want to show you. When you start that case down on there, It doesn't want to go easy right away, but you can see that I'm twisting it down on there. Once it starts, it goes. Now, there's absolutely no run out. There's no wobble in that case. That case fits that neck turner reamer pilot perfectly. There's no slop in there. So why is that important? It's important because when I go to turn the necks on these cases, if there's any slop or any run out, any give in that neck, then we're gonna pick it up in the neck wall uniformity, in the thickness, as this carbide cutter starts cutting this neck. These cases have to fit these pilots absolutely perfectly. The 17, this hole is specific to the 17 caliber. Now, some cases are going to have different neck wall thicknesses to start with, and you're going to end up with different neck wall thicknesses. But when you get down to the diameter where it needs to fit your pilot, you can either you could try it on your neck reamer pilot first, and if it doesn't fit, like this fits like a glove. This is just dead on it, right there. It's got to be there. It's right there. If it weren't there, let's say we stopped at this hole right here, which I don't know how many thousandths larger it is than the 17 hole. Let me see if I can get Dan to see that. But this hole right here is the last hole, and it has 17 stamped on it here, okay? Let's say that you made your plate and you ended here. You didn't have enough bit, so you went to this hole here. Now, if I took a case that was sized through this hole and started it over this reamer, it would have some slop in it. It wouldn't fit perfectly, okay? So that when you went to turn that case neck, you're not going to get a perfectly uniform neck wall thickness. So what do? Okay, you don't actually have to have this hole for that, but what you do is you would take your case and you would simply run it through your full-length size die. Most of the time, the full-length size dies, either with the expander ball in or out, will allow you to fit your pilot very, very close. In fact, I'm of the opinion that the reamer itself, the reamer pilot, should actually be a half a thou, maybe 3 or 4 10,000ths larger than the inside diameter of the neck, so that the neck is actually being ever so slightly expanded as it comes down over the pilot. The reason why is because you've got zero clearance there. There's no wobble. It's absolutely precise when that case has absolutely no clearance over that pilot. When you turn this neck, you're going to get a very, very uniform neck wall thickness when you turn that neck. Okay, that's kind of got away from the subject of the plate, but basically what I've shown you guys is a method which allows you to make these cases without expensive form dies. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example of an expensive form die that I purchased quite a few years back. It was totally unnecessary. The plate will make those cases, and I do not need I never use that form die set. Okay, it's a 14-221 Walker. Okay, this is how form die sets usually work. Okay, you have a form die body. Okay, and it has a recess cut out in the top. It has a chamber cut in here that's actually the cartridge chamber. Now this is a 14-221 Walker, so the cartridge itself is based off the 221 Fireball. So basically this form die set would Wildcat 221 based cartridges, but it would be specific to that. The plate is non-specific. It is the only thing about the plate that's specific is you have to have a shell holder that's specific to the cartridge case that you're using, and that's it. This plate will make hundreds, if not thousands, of Wildcats in itself without the need for anything like this. Now this form die body, you can see the shoulder that's incorporated into these bushings, okay? Right there. When the cartridge comes up in and it bottoms out the same way that the cases do in the plate. Okay? And then the neck diameter is reduced. This particular set has, I believe, 8 or 9 different bushings. Okay? There's 8 or 9 different steps, in other words, to get this cartridge from 221 Fireball down to 14 Walker. Okay? You run your cases through, you change your bushing. Oh, doggone it. Change your bushing. Put that old fumble fingers here. And run that plug back in the top of that, and there you go. Now, this method does work, and it works quite well, but this die set cost me $227. $227 to buy this or have this made at a machine shop. The only thing the plate won't do is it won't set shoulders back. I'm going to show you a couple cartridges here that I use with the plate, in part with the plate, and in part with a form die together. Okay, let's put this back. Okay, this is my 17 DT. Okay, it's a 100,000 short 17 PPC. That's the puppy right there. I'm awfully proud of that cartridge. That is a real coyote killer, and it doesn't damage the pelts. Okay, this cartridge is 100,000 short. Now the parent cartridge is a 220 Russian. It's in 224 bore diameter. Okay, this cartridge started out like this. Okay, now you can see, obvious, the difference in the diameters, but you'd notice as well that the shoulder has been pushed back on this cartridge. In this particular Wildcat, the shoulder has been pushed back 100 thousandths. Why did I do that? I wanted to reduce the capacity of the cartridge to make it a more efficient cartridge, a more accurate cartridge, which I have done so because it is. The full-length 17 PPC is a bit overbore for my taste, and by pushing the shoulder back, I reduced the capacity to make it a much more efficient cartridge. Okay, another Wildcat. Well, let me show you here. The only time that I use form dies, and where the plate isn't directly involved, is in setting shoulders back. Okay, and we're going to take this 220 Russian case. We're going to manufacture a 17 DT. So, 222, 284 full-length die out of here. Okay, now, this particular cartridge is a short little puppy, so we need to use an extended show holder with this. Okay, put our extended, gotta get that one out of there. Put our extended show holder in there. You know, this is a form die. It's actually a 22-250 trim die that I've cut off at a precise point that will allow me to push these shoulders back 100 thousandths. Actually, with this die, I can push shoulders back to about 150 thousandths, but I've got it set at 100 thousandths right here, maybe 105 thousandths. Okay, we're going to take the Russian case. I'm going to run it in here. What I like to do is rotate the cartridge as it's being swaged back, or the shoulder's being set back, because there's a lot of force being exerted against this cartridge shoulder right here, and we want to make sure that it's done uniform. Okay, now I've just pushed the shoulder back on this case 100 thousandths. Okay, I'm going to set it down here by the DT. Now you can see what we've done. See, we've extruded that neck out. Now at this point, we're going to take this cartridge right here, guys. We're going to take our PPC bolt face. That's not it. Or bolt face. Our PPC shell holder. Okay, we're going to preload the shaft against it. Let's get some of this stuff out of here. Let's check it to see how concentric it's spinning. Not too bad, right off the get-go. That's good. That's usually what happens. You chuck them up and they'll spin true right off the start. Let's see. Let's take it out of there. Put a little bit of a load on it. Yeah. Just a tiny bit. This doesn't take much. All that shaft's doing is bottoming itself out against the head of this case, and the rim of the case is bottoming out against the shell holder, so it's secured. It can't go anywhere. Okay. Okay. Now, this Russian stuff, this Lapua Russian brass, I can't even say enough about it. This is unbelievable quality brass here. You can see that this thing is spinning absolutely dead concentric. It'll be like dropping a hot knife through butter, necking this down. Okay, we push the shoulder back on this thing. Now we're going to run it down to 17. We've got our 17 right here. We know where we're going. We're just going to have to take a guess on where we're going to start. Basically, you're going to start on a hole where you just begin to feel resistance. Now let's see. If you notice on this case, when we ran it through the form die, it sized it down. It pushed the shoulder back, but it didn't reduce this portion of the neck. This very bottom portion of the neck did not reduce to the same diameter as this portion here. So I got to be careful when I start on my first hole. I got to keep in mind that we want to reduce this portion of the neck as well. Okay? First hole. Yeah, I didn't feel much resistance there, so we're going to go to the next hole without moving it. Yeah, I'm trying to do this without my hands in the way, Dan, but I need to have a little bit of a grip on this plate. Okay, next hole. Okay, and you're watching this. You're watching this plate, or these holes are starting to reduce in diameter. Let me see if I can get a different angle. Is that better? Like that down? Yep. Okay, let's see. Equal to like this. Okay. Next hole. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking this thing down to where that shoulder's just bottoming out. I can feel it when it bottoms out, and I stop right there. I don't go any further than that. We're down way below 20 caliber at this point. We're going to go down to 17 caliber. We're almost there. Okay, last hole. 17 caliber. Okay. Take it out of your chuck. Take your little vise here and pop it out. Now, that's a cute little cartridge. Okay, here it is. 17 DT, and this is, I don't know what step you'd call it, step 2 or 3, but that's what the plate has done for me right there. I can't even begin to imagine how much money I would have to spend in a form die set to do what I just did here with this plate. Anybody out there who can't see that is just, well, I don't know what to tell you. This system is that effective. Keep in mind, we started out right here. We used a form die to push to set the shoulder back to 100,000 short for the DT, and then we simply reduced the neck diameter down to 17 with the plate. Okay. At this point, we would take this cartridge, and what I do in manufacturing these cases, is I go straight to the trimmer. I think I've got the wrong, I've got the wrong trim pilot in here, but basically you would take the case using a cutoff wheel. You don't want to try to trim this case, that much neck off this case, because you can see how much longer the neck is on that case and that cartridge, and you can actually see that the shoulder is just slightly pushed back than what this fire formed case is, so that when this case is chambered, it will blow forward and outward very slightly to fill the chamber. The neck at this point will be cut off with a cutoff wheel, a high-speed cutoff wheel, a Dremel tool cutoff wheel, die grinder cutoff wheel, and then it's trimmed to length. At that point, it goes on to the neck turner pilot. Okay, now this one here, same deal. Perfect fit on there, absolutely perfect fit. There's a little bit, the neck wall thickness on this case is just slightly more than the BR case, but this case will be chucked up, and when I turn necks, I don't use the shell holder. I just take the case and chuck it up like this, and that's how I turn necks right there. I will take I hope I'm not wandering around too much here in this dang video, but I will take my neck turner jig, and I will allow the case to align itself to the jig or to the cutter as it floats on the table. There's a bolt here that I have. Once this goes through, once the case is concentric and aligned, then I'll go ahead and I'll start the neck turning process. I'm not going to get into neck turning on this video. It's kind of a tedious process, and the wildcatters out there that are, the bench resters and target shooters are already familiar with how to neck turn cases, and this is what the video is about. So what I'm trying to show here is a method of getting the cases down to a point where they can be precision neck turned, or simply ran through your full length size die and then went straight to the chamber in the gun. Using a plate, a steel plate, instead of an expensive form die body. Again, going back to the plate, this is a prototype plate. One of the first plates I ever made. I couldn't find my 22-284 form die set. I more than likely loaned it out to somebody, forgot who I loaned it to, and they never brought it back. That happens to me a lot. I couldn't find the form die set. I needed to make some cases, and I'm not a wealthy person. I don't have a lot of money. I can't get on the phone and just order a $250 or $200, even $100 form die set. I just don't have that kind of money to just throw into things like this, because I have so many different Wildcats. I just would have never been able to do the things that I've done with rifles and own the rifles that I own if I hadn't have come up with this plate idea. I've kept it under my hat for about 6 years now, but I can see that there's a need for people to be able to have this plate, to make their own plate, and I'm doing my best here to try to demonstrate this plate. I made this plate right here on this press. Okay, I'm going to give you these hole diameters here in this video as well, so that you can go out and you can make your own plate. Now, you don't have to make your own plate. You can buy one of these plates from me. I'm going to sell these plates. And let me tell you what the new plates are going to be looking like. This is a prototype. We're going to sell the plate, and it will be specific to the cartridge that you order, or the Wildcat that you order. All you have to do is specify the shell holder that you want, or the cartridge that you want a Wildcat. We will supply you with the shaft, and the shell holder, and the plate, with these same holes. Now, if you would like to make your own plate, well, I'm going to give you these diameters right here. We're going to take our calipers, and I'm going to give you these diameters right here. Okay, one thing I ought to mention about the new plate. The new plate will have shoulder angles incorporated in each side of the plate. Okay, this plate is 3/8 of an inch thick, or 3/75 thousandths. The new plate will be a 1/2 inch thick, or 500 thousandths. On one side, the holes will have a 35-degree chamfer, and on the other side, it will have a 30-degree chamfer. When you order a plate, if you're going to be doing a 40 caliber, or a 40-degree shoulder angle, or a 45 or whatever, you need to specify that when you order the plate, because that's important. The plate will Wildcat cases that have shouldered angles, this plate, from 35 degrees or less, but it won't 100% reduce the neck diameters on cases which have a greater shoulder angle, such as 40 degrees, which you can see that the shoulder would bottom out before the neck was able to be sized all the way. Okay, the new plates will be made out of more precise flat ground steel. They will be polished and they will be hardened. They will be precision tools. At that point, they are a precision neck reduction device. No different than this is right here. This is a very fine tool right here. I think I've covered everything here. I started to tell you about the 22-284 and the necessity for the plate. I started with a smaller, thin piece of steel. I drilled a few holes in it and ran the cases down through the holes. I simply chucked the cases up back then and did not work well. So I had to come up with a method of securing the cases, and that's what I've done here. It works very well. You see with your own eyes how well this works. Before I go into giving these diameters of these holes out here, I'd like to show you another cartridge that I'm working on. It's called a 17 Athena. It's a 225 short 17 BR. Here we have, let's see, let me get that. Athena, here we go. Okay, this is a 17 BR. One I just made last night. Hell, it could have been one I just made here for you. And this is a 17 Athena. The 17 BR is relatively overbore capacity cartridge. Very hard on throats. It's specific in nature. It would be designed, or its intended purpose would be for very, very high velocities with heavier projectiles. The 30 gold, the 32 grain Gencos would really perform well in this cartridge right here. In order to achieve those levels, those velocity levels, you'd have to have 27, 28 inch, at least 26 inch barrel lengths to realize the capacity of this cartridge, because it is so overbore. So what I decided to do, because I love 17 Remington case capacities, is I took this same case and I cut off a form die and I pushed the shoulder back 225 thousandths. This shoulder has been set back, it's easy to see, 225 thousandths, very close to the DT capacities. These two cartridges have very close to the same capacity. The 17 DT has approximately 26.7 grain capacity. Let's see, is that right, or is it 29.6? Hell, I can't remember, guys. But anyway, they're very close to 17 Remington capacities. I think it might be 29.6 grains. Slightly less, actually, than the 17 Remington, yet will produce higher velocities because it's a shorter, fatter powder column. Much more efficient burning cartridge. The little Athena here is going to be used on one of my BRs as a switch barrel. In fact, I've got a Packmore barrel I just got in here the other day. That's going to be one of the barrels besides a Lawrence that I'm going to switch barrel off of. But these are two cartridges that I'm very fond of. This one, as of yet, hasn't been chambered yet. The DT is a very proven cartridge, extremely accurate cartridge, very uniform, 17 caliber cartridge. Okay, let's get the calipers out, and I'm going to read these diameters off to you. There's no big secrets about this plate, you guys. It did take me quite some time to determine the hole diameters to make it work. It's something that was initially came up with 6-7 years ago, and then over time I've improved it to the point where it is now. Actually, let me show you. Oh, here's one of my older plates. Now this plate, one of my older plates, is made out of aluminum, for heck's sake. You can see all the different holes in this plate, but it is made out of aluminum, and aluminum does wear. It does soften up. You just can't get the precision out of the aluminum that you can with the steel. But the aluminum did work. This plate is just a little bit thinner than the steel plate, as you can see right there. I don't know if Dan can get that, but this plate was stamped. I numbered these holes here on this plate, but it did work. Of course, I haven't used this plate for 4 or 5 years, but it did work, and it worked quite well. Let me get my calipers out here. I'm running this thing on, blabbering on here more than I should. All right. First hole. Let's see. Let's count these holders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 holes in this plate, you guys. The plates that I'm going to sell are probably going to have the exact same number of holes, the exact same diameter of these holes. The only difference is going to be on one side of the plate, it'll have a 35-degree shoulder. On the other side of the plate, it'll be a 30-degree shoulder. If you need something other than that, just simply, as far as the shoulder angle, just incorporate it into your plate when you make your plate. This is simply flat ground plate steel. It's not hardened or anything. When I did the math and I figured out what diameter these holes had to be, I went down to the hardware store and I bought the bits. And they didn't have to be expensive bits. They were inexpensive bits because I only had to drill the hole one time. So all they had to be was good enough to drill one clean, straight, smooth hole one time, and that's what they did. Okay, this first hole is 336 thousandths. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get you a drill bit that's very near, plus or minus a couple of thousandths, to 336 thousandths. Okay, next hole, 329 thousandths. Next hole, 325 thousandths. So you can see there was a slightly less reduction there. For whatever reason, it is probably the way it is because it, from here to here, was just a little more than I felt comfortable with as I developed the case or the plate. I found that some of these holes I actually had to get a larger bit and drill the hole somewhat larger because it was just the step was too large. It was putting too much stress on the case, too much stress on the shoulder. I could feel it as I was reducing neck diameters. So I simply increased the diameter of the hole, or I added a hole. Okay, so that hole there was the third one going down was 325. The fourth hole is 305, 306. The next hole 302. There we have a very subtle drop there. The next hole, the last hole in the top, is 295. I hope you're getting this, Dan. I'm not doing this very good, am I?
You're doing fine.
The second roll. Okay, that's a 2.4 punched on there, so we're at 6mm right there, guys. That's 24 caliber right there. Once you get your cartridges to this hole right here, first hole, second row, you can take that case, trim it to length, and run it through your full-length size die. If you're going to neck turn it, you go from your full-length size die to your neck turner pilot, and away you go. You're off and running. Okay? That hole there, the 24 or 243 diameter hole, is 282 thousandths. Now you can see it right there, right on my calipers there. 282 thousandths. Can you see that, Dan? Or now it's 281 because I've moved it a little bit. Yeah, let's see. Okay, there's 281 right there. 281 and a half. That's pretty close. 281 and a half, 282. Okay, next hole. 276. Okay. Gosh, I'm trying to do this where you can see this. I guess it's absolute. I can read it as well as you guys can see it. Okay, the next hole, 269. Okay, the next hole is 224 diameter. Again, once the case reaches this hole right here and you go through this hole, you take the cartridge, trim it to length, run it through your full length size die, you're done. Okay, now you're going down below 22 caliber. Okay, the next hole. Actually, in this plate, there's only one step between 22 and 20 caliber. Okay, without the use of a form die, just the plate. Okay, the next hole down from the 22 would be 248 thousandths, 249 thousandths. 248 would be fine. Okay, the next hole is 20 caliber, 204. Okay, the hole isn't 204, the diameter, the caliber is 204. Okay, we're going to measure my 20 caliber hole here. It is 242. Okay, 242. I don't know if you can get that on there, Dan, if you can see that, but that's 242. Now, one of the nicest cartridges, one of my favorite cartridges, is a 20BR. We take the 6BR case and we run it down to 20 caliber instead of going down to 17, or instead of going to 22, we bring it down to 20 caliber. Very, very fine cartridge. Okay, you would take the case, go to 20 caliber, run it through your full length size die, and go on from there. If it needs to be turned, you turn it. If it don't, it don't. All that depends on the chamber dimensions of your rifle. Okay, now we're going to go down from the 20 caliber hole. The next one down is 234 thousandths. Okay, 234. The next hole, 219, 220. Better figure 220. Next hole, 211. Next hole, 205.
Tilde it, you got clear on it there.
Okay, next hole, 204. Now you can see there's only 1/1000th difference from this hole to this hole, so really this hole is totally unnecessary. Now I don't know why I've got that in there. I've got it in there for some reason. I drilled that in there, but it's really unnecessary because it's only a 1/1000th difference. Okay, but it's there, so I must have put it in there for a reason. Okay, the last hole on the third row is 202. 202, 202 thousandths. Okay, the next hole, first hole on the bottom row is 17 caliber. You take your cartridge, same routine. You go down to 17, you run it through the hole, you trim your cartridge to length, then you go through your full length size die, and at that point you either go straight to the neck turner pilot. Now if the cartridge doesn't fit your neck turner pilot exactly right, you need to either use an expander ball or some type of an expander ball that would size the case down and then open it back up to where it fits your neck turner extremely well. We went through that a little bit. These case necks have to fit them pilots very precisely, otherwise you're not going to get a uniform neck wall thickness. Okay, that 17 caliber hole is 199 thousandths dead on it. 199. You got that, Dan? Okay, the next hole down is 195. Okay. The next hole down, we're getting down here close to 14 caliber here, fellers. Okay, the next hole down is 180. And last but not least is our 14 caliber hole, which I use to make my 14 221 Walker cases. And that puppy is 169 thousandths. Right on, dead on it. Now, when you make your plate, it doesn't have to be exactly these diameters that I just gave you, but it has to be. They have to be close enough to where the case, once it goes through the hole that's nearest to these calibers here that I've stamped on here, it needs to be able to run through your full length size die without caving the damn shoulder in. Okay, so they don't need to be exact, but they need to be, I'm going to say, plus or minus 2 thousandths. Plus or minus 2 thousandths, preferably minus 2 thousandths, because the case can always be, you can always run it down through the die and the expander ball can always open it back up. But if it's too large in diameter, the force required to reduce the diameter in the die, the neck diameter, could crush the shoulder. So if you're going to go any direction, you want to go 2 thousandths smaller, plus or minus 2 thousandths smaller. Is the direction you'd want to go on these. I don't really know what else I can add to this. I've been blabbering on here now for over an hour. all I can say is I have hoped that I have covered this well enough that there's no questions. There really shouldn't be any questions. But if there is, just give me a call. Give me a call or email me at tnka blzr at networld.com and fire me an email and fire your questions away. This case is not something, or this plate is not something new here. At least for me it is, and I mean this thing is a tried and proven method here. I've had this thing for several years now, and I'm just in love with it. I just think it's just really neat. Neatest thing since cream of wheat, you know. It's really worked well for me. The plate is something you can make at home. It doesn't have to be absolutely precision made. It does help if the holes are smooth. It does help if the chamfers are smooth. It reduces the amount of scarring that can occur in the shoulder once the cartridge is dropped through the hole and bottoms out in the shoulder. It can reduce the amount of scarring. The plates that are going to be made to my specifications. When they go out of here, they are going to be the best that they can be, and they will take the place of hundreds, if not thousands of dollars of form dies, expensive form dies. Now, I just want to make sure that I clarify the difference between a form die and a die which sets shoulders back. Now, these two cases require dies that push the shoulders back. The plate will not do that. The plate will not push shoulders back. Okay, it won't do what we did here with this. But once the shoulder is pushed back, then it will reduce the neck diameter. Even if this thing was a 30 caliber to start with, or a 28 like the 284, it will reduce it down to whatever, even clear down to the 14 caliber. It doesn't matter. Pay attention when you're reducing neck diameters with this neck reduction plate, that you get that case chucked up in there and spinning true. If that case has a great deal of wobble to it, it's not going to want to size uniformly. It's going to be more difficult to size, and you won't get a precision sizing done on the dang thing. So take the time to get the case preloaded against the shell holder shaft, and once you chuck it up, if it's not spinning true, if it doesn't appear to be spinning true, simply back the shaft off, rotate the case a little, and preload or load the shaft back against the bottom of the case. Chuck it up again, check it again, and if it spins true, then take it out, put it in a little vise, and just put a little preload to it. I guess that's the best term for it, is just put a little tension against the shaft at the bottom of the case. I really hope that after watching this video that people are excited as I was about when I came up with this idea. And every time I come in here and make a Wildcat cartridge, I'm just amazed at what I can do with this plate. I'm very, very proud of this plate. Like I say, I came up with the idea 5 or 6 years ago. It started out as just a little tiny piece of steel. It went from aluminum. It went from that to aluminum, which I showed you that plate there, to this state. And now the plates that are actually being mass produced in a machine shop right now, not mass produced, but we're making quite a few of them, are going to be to my specifications, and they're going to be really something quite fine. They're going to be a real fine precision tool. So I want to thank everybody again for taking their hard-earned money out of their pocket and buying this video. But I am 110% confident that the money that you've spent on this video was well worth it. I just showed you folks how to save yourselves hundreds of dollars using this method right here. And I really hope that that a lot of people will go to the trouble, make their own plate. I didn't make this video to get rich. It's just not my speed. I'm just not that kind of guy. I made the plate so that I could, make my Wildcat cartridges. And over time, I could see that it was something that I really should share with the rest of the Wildcat world out there. And I know the die companies aren't going to be too happy with me. There'll be a lot of form dice sitting on shelves that aren't going to be used now. But anyway, go back through the video, stop and start where you need to, go get you a piece of flat steel, take those diameters, go to a hardware store, get bits that are plus or minus 2,000s, drill them into your plate, try to do the best job you can, polish up your chamfers, get you a good chamfer tool, or take the information here and go to a machine shop and have them make you a plate, or order a plate from me. Well, thanks again everybody for buying this thing, and hell, get out there and make your plates, and give me a holler and let me know what you're doing with it, and what all these Wildcats you're making with it. And I know guys that are necking down 50 BMGs that I've told about these things. I don't know if they've told me they were going to, but whether or not they made them a plate to do it, I don't know. But which would make for fine conversation pieces. But this particular plate, again, will neck down from 33 caliber all the way down to 14 caliber. And I don't need to tell you guys anymore. I've said it 100,000 times already during this video. You are going to save yourselves hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Okay, thanks again, and hell, if I come up with any more scatterbrain ideas about anything and think it's worthwhile, Ian or I, we'll get old Dan up here and we'll do it again. But I really felt like I needed to share this idea with you, and I think I'm 100% confident you got your money's worth, or anybody who's bought this video. So good luck to you, and we'll see you on the next video.